Hi, it's Mel here, the owner and founder of We're Accountants. Today I'm doing a short training session on how to put your financial forecast together. We'll go through the 3 key points about why a financial forecast is important, and then we'll go through what the financial forecast is and what it can do. I've got a couple of slides to show you, and then I'll show you an example of a template for a financial forecast that you can use. And then I'll let you know how you can get some additional help if you want it. So let me just share my screen with you so I can show you this PowerPoint. Okay, there we go. So let's start how to put a financial forecast together. Oh, doesn't want to click on the next page. Okay. One of the key challenges I've found that business owners have is that they don't have any cash. They struggle with cash flow. They struggle with money. There's not enough money there, and they don't really understand why. It's quite a mystery, and we need to unravel that and understand that. And one of the best ways of doing that is to have a financial forecast. If your money is tight in your business, then a financial forecast will help you to understand why and help you to improve. For example, I had a client whose money was tight and they couldn't work out why because they thought they had loads of turnover. And when we looked at it, we found out that they weren't focused on their margins enough and they weren't charging enough money for their services. Looking at their financials as part of putting their plan together, we worked out what their direct costs were versus what their fixed costs were. And we could see that their margin wasn't high enough. And so then we looked at ways we could increase that margin. And by doing that, what we worked out was that they could massively increase their profits. But before we analysed the numbers to put a forecast together, they weren't aware of it. So it's really about an understanding of what the financial model is of your business. Okay, the next challenge that we find with business owners is that they don't feel in control of their business. This is very common, and actually having a forecast and then comparing your budget to your actual results gives you a real sense of control. It's like getting in your car and not planning your journey, like not looking at whether you're on the right track or not. And then you turn your navigator on and suddenly you've got someone guiding you. We've got a plan. We've got a system that's going to tell us if we're off course. And then by having that plan and that system in place, what happens is that we're more likely to get back on course again if things don't go the right way. So that's why it's really important to have this financial forecast, because it gives you that way of knowing when you've gone off track. Okay. The next key challenge we have is that business owners say they don't know how they're doing. That's again something that's very common, and unless they've got an advisor or an accountant doing their financial forecast for them, then they just don't know. Again, it's like driving a car in pitch black without any headlights. Okay, so now let's get into what the financial forecast is. So a way of looking at it really is that a financial forecast is a plan for the journey ahead for your business that you can use to keep on track. A budget really is just planning ahead. It's like having a map. Maybe we might have a vague idea of where we're going, but we really need to put something in place that we can follow. And again, that's going to allow us to know if we get off track. So that's The next screen we have here is understanding your historical sales and costs. That's really where the financial forecast starts. So preparing this gives you a great opportunity to analyse your sales and costs, to learn where you need to focus on to make improvements. You need to get a deeper understanding of your business and your numbers, and we do this by analysing your historical sales and costs. That way it enables us to plan and move forward. So, for example, I have a client, relatively new client, and they purchased a business off a husband and wife team that were retiring. So I guess you could say that the previous owners of the business were looking towards retirement, so they weren't really driving the business or pushing it, driving it forward. They weren't really spending any money on maintaining the equipment or pushing ahead with marketing. So when my client bought that business, we went through and helped them prepare a financial forecast, because they knew that they had a lot of additional upfront costs, one-off costs, to do with, repairing and maintaining this equipment that they used, and also on upgrading all of the marketing material and website, doing employment contracts, all sorts of costs that we knew we were going to have to face over the first several months. And then after that, we could look forward to see what our normal standard direct costs and fixed overheads were going to be. And that allowed us to work out how we're going to cope for that first difficult 6 months, to know then how we were going to track and what we could expect to make with a reasonable level of cost. So that was something that was really, really helpful and beneficial to them. Moving on to the next screen. Setting a forecast will help you to motivate people, including yourself, with targets and rewards that are based on achieving the financial forecast. So if you truly understand what your target is each day, each week, each month, each year, then that's going to help you and motivate you to get there, to keep you on track. And you'll know if you can afford to put on that extra person or not, or to upgrade to the larger premises, or to invest in expanding your product line. It's going to give you a real tangible data point to help you make better decisions. I have another example of a client who ran a very successful business, and then that market just changed, and they decided that they would need to pivot and go into a slightly different market with different products. So they made that transition in these product lines, and then what we needed to do was, part of doing the financial forecast, was working out what the new level of direct costs were and the new level of overheads, and that way they were able to give their sales team targets, because they actually knew how much we needed everyone to achieve each week, to be able to cover our costs and make sure we could at least break even, and then work on improving our profit as well. Now, sometimes when you do this, it can be really painful, because it can make you realise that you're not generating enough sales or income, that you're not earning enough money, and that you need to do something about it. But that's what is going to kick you into gear to enable you to do what you need to do, to chase debts, whatever it is to do to try and get that money in the door and then get more turnover happening as well. Don't leave it until it's too late or until you're in real trouble. The best time to get onto this is now, and the most important person that needs to be motivated and held accountable is you. This is going to help you make better business decisions. All right, so now I'm going to show you, I'll just stop sharing this screen for a moment, and I want to pull up the Excel file that I have here. Okay, I'll just go back up to the top. Hopefully you can see that. So this is just a very simple example of what a financial forecast can look like. So we've got all of our time periods going across the top in columns, and then in all the rows, we've got our different components in terms of income, expenses, capital receipts, capital expenditure. That's going to tell us what our net cash surplus or deficit is from our operations and our capital items. And it will show us what our bank account balance is going to look like at the beginning and at the end, and at the end of each month going forward as well. Now, if you'd like a copy of this template, you can just type forecast below if you're watching this video in Facebook, or if you're watching this on my website, there'll be a button below there where you can download a copy of the Excel file. And then the other thing is that if you need a hand with this, you'd like some additional help, then you can reach out to me by sending me a message on Facebook or on our website through our Contact Us page, and then we can organise to have a chat on the phone and we can see where we go from there. All right, well, that's it for today. I hope that you found this useful and that this is going to help you get started with your financial forecast. Thanks for joining me, and I will see you again soon. Thanks, bye.